Hello everyone, my name is Marco, and in this video I'm going to be talking about my reasoning for moving from Canada to Portugal. As you can't tell by the name, I will be sharing all my experiences in different videos on various weeks, talking about the processes and basically all the steps that I had to go through. Now, I've been planning a lot in the last couple months, but at least my experiences hopefully will help you, so that way if you do plan to move, especially to Europe, specifically Portugal, at least, or hopefully this can help you out. So I was born in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, to Portuguese immigrants who had immigrated to Canada from Portugal a few years prior. My first few years of life I spent in Portugal, and as a result, my first language was in fact Portuguese. And then later, French when we moved back to Montreal. I moved a lot throughout my childhood. However, it did help me see and realize how large this country was. My parents, who wanted me to learn how to read and write in Portuguese, sent me to Portugal for a couple years when I was younger, where I integrated and embraced my heritage. When I moved back to Canada, specifically in Toronto, I found myself having to learn English, which was very difficult when I had already spoke 2 languages. English would later be my dominant language, as it is today. In my adult years, I started by living in Vancouver, beautiful British Columbia, where the weather was optimal and breathtaking. Probably one of the most expensive cities in Canada, but the sights made you realize why. I eventually returned back to Montreal, the French part of Canada, where I connected with family and the historic European-inspired province. I loved eating poutine weekly and seeing a fashion show every time you walked on the street. Following this, I did move to Toronto, where I got to experience living in a 6 million person city as an adult, filled with the 24/7 activity way of life. I met a lot of people and got to connect with many from my childhood. I later spent almost 2 years in Winnipeg, Manitoba, where I got to know the Indigenous side of Canada, something I never got to explore previously. Their traditions and sense of community gave me a different perspective on some history that I had never learned from school. Living in the prairies made me also realize that, indeed, it was the friendly and welcoming part of Canada, which I was grateful to experience. Now, at the end of my Canadian journey, I have been living in the capital of the country, Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, where I've been able to experience all sorts of Canadiana. Following the government operations, learning the in-depth history of how the country got to be where it is today, going to museums and other historical sites, experiencing the mix and the uniqueness of the Anglophone and Francophone languages and how they influence this city. Really brings this city into a perspective of being really the center of Canada. Being a proud Canadian, having had visited all 10 provinces and 2 out of the 3 territories, I feel like I have seen more than the average person. Having also been to most of the United States of America also made me realize that there is so much more to the world. When COVID-19 hit the world, it was devastating. People's mental health and well-being advanced at the forefront of our everyday lives. I know personally being alone day in and out became unbearable. I would often take a drive to the local drive-through coffee shop just so I could speak to someone, even if it was just for a few words. However, I have had a great companion, my 4-legged friend Mason, the Jack Russell, who has basically stood beside me all through this process. Like many, it made me take a hard look at my life, and I realized that I needed to change my priorities. As far as I can remember, my life has always revolved around working, and it slowly made me lose who I was in the process. I want more to life than just working. I want to live and enjoy the benefits in which sometimes I take for granted. The pandemic put these into perspective for me and for many others. For the last 10 years, moving to Portugal has been one of those goals that I didn't think I'd be able to achieve. Honestly, something was always holding me back. My friend recently moved to Europe and he said something that really resonated within me. Stop making excuses and just do it. That very line was the start of the next chapter in my life. I am nervous and excited at the same time, and I want it even more because of this. Thanks for joining me on my video. I hope you enjoyed it. This was just a bit of my story to help kind of set the stage for this channel. If you did enjoy it, make sure you like and subscribe if you can and if you want to, and I'll see you next time. Bye.